Bam.
This is Tommy Kilpatrick, and you're watching Break It Down podcast.
Show. Yeah, exactly. The Break It Down Show, brought to you by Pete. Hey, Tommy, thanks for coming on the show. One of the things that I love to do is when I'm in a mentoring capacity, whether it's specific person to person or just in general, kind of shouting from my mentor balcony, is to help folks understand finances. I am not a financial expert, but I understand as I get older, like, man, I am running out of time. And either I start hitting some home runs or I'm going to be behind. And I did a decent job of buying stock, but I didn't do a decent job taking care of credit. Didn't do a decent job of building up 401k. I didn't. And so I might be all right, but mostly because I got shot at in a bunch of combat. And so I'll either always be able to make money because they broke my body. And I don't want folks to have to go through that. And so I encourage young people, man, oh man, get on top of this stuff and make it a discipline, just like you would working out or anything else. So anytime I could talk about this stuff in depth and give folks some ideas on what to do, I want to do it. And I appreciate you for coming on the show.
Oh, sure. Thanks for having me.
How did you get into this? And tell everybody what you do.
Oh, sure. Well, I'm a retired teacher and an author, and I wrote a book on health and healing, and it was so popular that I got an infomercial contract in 2004, and I
Wow.
was test marketed on radio for about 6 months, trying to test and see what works best for the audience, and it was going great. And then I racked up about $85,000 on my credit cards, which sounds a lot, but I was promised $100,000 a month. So what's that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So then one of the talents, he got in trouble with the FTC on
Oh
making
boy.
claims of weight loss that really wasn't true. So they came down hard on the company, and all the new talents contracts were canceled. So there I was left with $85,000 of credit card debt, and I hadn't worked in 6 months, so I had put everything on hold. So it's not like you can just turn right around and generate the money and pay it off. So
Yeah.
that was an
85,000
eye
at
opener.
20% or whatever it was gets real expensive real fast.
Oh, yeah. So then what happened about a month later, I kind of woke up one morning. I think about my dad. He's a certified public accountant, and thinking about how I was in school to be one, even though I never got the credential, I can do the work of one. And I realized the bank does not have an invoice. So there is no debt. And two, I have a memory. We had to read a book called Modern Money Mechanics. And it says right there the banks accept a promissory note and they write numbers in your free checking account. And that's how they create loans. I never signed a promissory note. And my father at the time was an attorney and a judge, and we had long conversations about fraud under all contracts. So use the card and you have to comply with their terms and conditions. Well, that's not true if it's fraud. And so I decided to file 3 federal lawsuits against the banks with a little bit of help from my father-in-law, but I did it by myself. And that's what started it.
Yeah. So let me get what you're saying. I'm at the age, and you know this, where parents start losing capacity. If they're alive, they start losing the capacity to run their lives. And so wherever they're at, when that gate comes down, it's like, this person has dementia and needs constant care. And like, oh, they have and a reasonable amount of money for what they're doing. Let's say $25,000 of credit card debt. My friends are desperate to pay that to protect mom's credit report, credit ranking. And I'm like, dude, don't pay that. And not to get away with anything, but they took a risk on someone who's 85 years old or whatever it is, and that paid off until today. It doesn't pay off anymore. And if they ruin your mom's credit, who cares about that? And also, by the way, there's ways to fight that. And so it's unsecured debt. They lost that bet and move on. But for whatever reason, we're compelled to pay these things off at our own expense because really, the moms or the dads that live that long, they run out of money real fast. They're not most of the time they're not flush with money.
Oh, sure. And I want to start right off the bat is I'm a doubting Thomas, so I invite you and your audience to doubt me. So don't
Right.
believe a single word I have to say today. Okay, not a single word. I've left you some show notes and there's some links so you can look
Yep.
it up yourself and see if I'm accurate and truthfully speaking. And I encourage you to send this podcast to your certified public accountant or anyone who's had one class of accounting. They will know, maybe they never thought of it this way, but they will know that I am absolutely 100% correct. So what this is all about is that you're a victim of a crime. And so I'm your victims' rights advocate. This is not a get out of debt scheme. this is what I've revealed, and I've discovered that the banks worldwide are committing a fraud, and you're a victim. So it depends on how you use a language, because language is law and law is language. So if you say you got credit card debt, you've got it. There's nothing I can do for you. But if you add the word allege, now you put the burden on the bank to then come through with the evidence. So
Sure.
that's one thing I ask your audience to be, is just open mind and ask and say the word alleged.
There's the link to Tommy's website. There's a lot of great information there. Make sure you guys go check that out. When you say these things, I think about a number of things. I'm fascinated by the concept that we get really scared of crypto. Crypto, it's scary. Don't do it. But all of our money is digital. Really, the cash that's in your hand, that's really not accounted for anywhere. It's really just a bunch of hocus pocus. The real money is whoosh, at the speed of light, just ripping. It never rests for an instant. As soon as it jumps into an account, it is gone and being leveraged by somebody, probably not the person who holds that account. And when you start to think about that, and then what it takes to rush money around. So, like, I'll give you an example here. And this is uh, the Oakland A's became the Sacramento Rays, about to become the Las Vegas A's. As soon as they spend $100 million on their stadium build, they're going to unlock public funds. $380 million going to drop in their account. Boom. Here's what we don't understand. They have a whole corporation within the A's structure that's going to just take that money and then put it into that maelstrom and make money on that money. And they're not going to spend any of it because they have a wad of money there that's going to make them a significant portion. We're not talking 80% of the total cost of the thing, but by the time they're done building this thing and they hold on to that money for however long they get to hold on to it, they will have made millions and millions and millions of dollars, right? And so part of this key here is how do we get our money working like that for us? How do we accumulate that? And having a bunch of debt, because there's a crime committed in this case, is not going to be beneficial. Have I said anything crazy or wrong yet?
Oh no, it's one thing is that the fastest way to wealth is through real estate. And
Okay.
so it depends on your credit score and if you're believable. And that's why the credit card is so important.
Yeah.
And there's a funny story we'll talk about me getting a credit card too and stuff like that and how I raised my score and things. So yeah, really it's all about the banks are making millions of dollars, and I'll explain that more later too, because what you're saying uh, is these corporations are getting all this money, and so are the banks. But these banks are doing it illegally. They're doing it through fraud and deceit,
Right.
and so they're making you pay for something you really don't have to.
So when you say that, when they lend me, like, let's say I want to consolidate, I don't have that much debt, but let's say I want to consolidate it and try to negotiate down, get a 14%, signature loan that'll wipe out my credit cards, and I can manage that little bit of debt. Let's say I decide to do that. You're saying that they're committing a fraud. Explain that to me, on the credit card
Sure.
side, I guess.
It's really, really simple. Is that when we so there are true credit cards. Let me just start off with a basic fact: is that let's say you need tires for your car. So you go
Hmm.
into a car dealership or a tire store and you ask for tires, and you find out how much it is. It's like, oh, I don't have that kind of money. And they say, oh, hey, why don't you, hey Pete, why don't you just put in a in-store credit card application, see if you're approved. Well, you are. And so the car tires are put on your car and you drive away. You didn't pay for those tires, right?
Yeah, that's right.
No, you didn't pay. Now,
Yeah.
you're going to get a statement at the end of the month, which is true. And it
Yeah.
says you have an outstanding unpaid invoice, which is true. You
Okay.
owe the money. Okay, Pete? You
Yeah.
have to pay that because you took the tires from a very nice company
Right.
and they paid their worker to balance them and put them on your car. So there was a
Yes.
service done. You owe the money. Okay. Now, what I'm saying is that there are other cars that are not. So how can you tell if you went to Walmart and you put the tires on and you drive away? I'm telling you, you don't have to pay. Like,
Oh,
what? What's it? What's
yeah.
what? What's the difference? Look on the back of your Walmart, the Amazon, the store credit card. If it says issued by Bank of America, Citibank, Wells Fargo, Bank of London, Bank of
Yeah.
Tokyo, Bank of India, it's a phony card because they never could have issued a credit card.
Mm. Okay. How is that true? I have a credit card in my hand, right? And I'm gonna I have a Delta Amex card, right? And I'm
Oh yeah,
assuming that's issued by American Express or some bank that's backing those credit cards.
American Express, if you look it up, is a bank. They just don't
Okay.
put bank at the end of American Express. So it's a
Okay.
bank right up the top. So you know right away it's a phony card from my point of view, right? So
Yeah.
so what was the difference is that what the banks are never a merchant. And that's what
Mm.
I woke up realizing the bank does not have an invoice. Now, you may not have an experience that I have had. When
Mhm.
I got out of school, my first job was an accountant, and I had the CFO, which was a CPA, walked up to me with a finger in my face, said, "If you pay for a statement, I'm going to fire you." He explained that the owners of the company make deals all the time, so don't believe the statement. We could have paid that last month and they just crossed in the mail. You don't know that. And look here, you only pay from an invoice. And look here, see how the department heads okayed it? We have verified that that's a true invoice because just a few weeks ago, it was reported that this guy made millions of dollars sending invoices to what did you send it to? Amazon and to Microsoft, looking like one of their vendors. And they paid him millions of dollars over
Yes.
the years of phony invoices. So they're not even following what I had to follow. No department head checked it off. So what I'm saying is that what they don't have an invoice, they don't have a debt. And
Mm.
think about this, about 100 years ago, you went into this general store and said, "Hey, Charlie, I need 5 pounds of flour and a pound of sugar, and my crops are coming in a couple of weeks." "Yeah, I got you down, Pete, right here." Now, if you say, "Hey, Charlie, can I borrow $10,000?" He'd say, "What am I, a bank?"
Yeah.
You go to the bank. Now, you don't go to the bank to have to buy tires. You
Right.
don't go to the bank to have them come out and do a plumbing job.
Yeah.
Banks are about loans. So that's the foundation. First of all, is they do not have an outstanding unpaid invoice. They could have issued a credit card. That's the lie. So let me ask you a question. Let me just ask you a very
Yeah.
simple question. Is it possible you, your audience, and me too have been lied to, indoctrinated, and brainwashed? Is it
Yeah.
possible?
Totally.
Of
Yeah.
course.
Yeah.
I got to say that because we know a lie is a lie. But what happens if it's told generationally?
Yeah.
"Hi, little Petey, this is a credit card, and you get it, you're good, and then you got to
Yeah.
use it. And if you don't pay it, they don't arrest you, but what they will do is they send you to court, and you lose the court case. And
Right.
so that's what could happen to you. So generationally, it can be told a lie. Now, if you do not question it, you're brainwashed. And I didn't say that to insult your audience or anything, but if you don't question it, so when we see a bank robbery on Progress in the TV, they always say alleged. So that's all I'm asking you to do is add the word alleged. So the bank issued alleged credit card debt is not a debt, is my point.
Hmm. Okay. Sorry, I had to change my camera for some reason. Keep going.
That's right. So So if we can agree at first of all right now that the bank could never have done any merchant services to you of
Right.
goods and services, then they could never have issued a credit card. Now your argument is they made a loan to you. Okay, now we got to fire that one up. Okay. So if you apply for a credit card and no, if you apply for a loan at a bank and they turn you down, do you still get the loan?
They turn me down? No.
No, you don't get a loan. And I
Right.
have to say that. It's stupid, but I have to say that because some of your people are going to say, "Oh, I applied and that's a promissory note." No, it's not. "I applied and it is a contract." No, it's not. An
Okay.
application means a request. So you requested a loan. The bank looked at you and said, "Yes." Now what do? You go into the bank and you fill out loan documents. You remember that
Yeah.
pages and pages of loan documents. You have to document that you actually have an income because how are you going to pay this loan back? Think about this. The bank is brought into court and a judge says, "You're loaning money to people who don't have an income." That's predatory, right?
Mm.
So you
Yeah.
have to prove you have an income. You also have to have collateral because what if you don't pay it back? How is the bank going to get the money back? It does it because you put up your house, your
Right.
car, or if you have a personal loan, you put your yacht up. They can legally take it away from you, sell it. If they come up short, what's their problem? If they come up long, they have to give you back the money. So they don't get to keep the difference. So
Right.
that is also, they have to have a credit report. Your credit score determines your interest rate, and the last thing you sign is a promise to pay it back.
Yeah.
You have a promissory note. If you don't promise to pay something back, it's called a gift. If I give you something and it's not a loan, it's a gift. So that's my
Okay.
whole point, is the banks are giving you a gift card disguised as a credit card.
Wow. Yeah. So there's a lot of predatory things they do. One of the things is it really doesn't matter what my credit score is. When I ask for the loan, I don't really have the ability to negotiate anything. They're going to give me a card that's got a 21% or 15% if I'm lucky, and I can't say, well, why don't we trim some points off that? No, and so they're getting a fantastic return on their money, first of all, and I have very little say in it. And the other thing is gosh, in terms of like student loans, I even want to get into this? Okay, loans get sold all the time, all kinds of loans, and so it becomes a predatory thing where they bounce, 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 and there's these fees incurred on top of this as you try to pay this loan off. So if you try to pay it, they don't answer the phone, and all of a sudden you spend a lot of extra money, and they find their value in these transaction fees. There's a lot of this kind of stuff in these card schemes. The other thing is they have these non-credit related things that are even more predatory. You see it now whenever you buy a pair of jeans, $200 jeans, and you can go to whatever that brand is. I don't want to say the brand out loud, 'cause I'm not sure if I'll get the name right, but these are like even more hocusy pocusy, where they charge extreme interest rates so that you can get those sexy jeans that you want. So all this stuff is just getting worse and worse. And it's the free marketplace, I suppose, but it seems like the government is allowing a lot of predatory things to happen.
Yes, it's a sad, sad thing, which you mentioned, the student loans, which I'll cover in just a second.
Yeah,
The other one is what you're talking about is a buy now, pay later, and people are
yeah,
using it for food. People
yeah,
are having to just to eat. They're going to do this debt thing. So you go back to the student loan very quickly. What I'm saying, it does not work for auto loans, doesn't work for home loans, it doesn't work for a personal loan, doesn't work for the student loans. But think about this. They
yeah,
are giving children loans of 100, 200, 300, $500,000 to someone who doesn't
yeah,
have an income. They have no credit history. That is definitely predatory. And
yeah.
they're telling them that they can pay this back if they get a job. But that's not true. All you got to do is go to a website. It's called Priced, and that's in past tense, Priced in Gold. And if you look it up under wages, you will see the wages in America topped out in 1970. And they have a number there, it's a 3. Right now, it's a 0.3, which means it takes 10 jobs, 10 jobs today to pay you what you would have made in 1970, which you could have been a man with a wife and kids, and they would be in a home, you'd have a car, all on a one wage. It's not that way anymore. So I think it's all total predatory. And then the banks got the government, us, to cover it. So now they're not on the hook. So now you can't even get out of it with a bankruptcy. So you've heard of death, taxes, and student loans. You can't get out of them. So they've got these children now as debt slaves to the government. And if you don't pay, shit's going to happen to you. Make sure you pronounce the F. So what I'm kind of saying, back to the whole argument of the credit cards, is what banks do is they advertise, right? You see their
Yeah.
advertisements all the time, and they have an advertising budget. Now, remember years ago, banks purchased wall clocks and posters and had them in the bank. Your mom went into the bank and they said, "Oh, if you open the account, Mrs., you get a toaster." She says, "Can I get a wall clock too?" "Yeah, open it too." So your dad comes home, sees a brand new toaster and brand new clock, and said, "How do we get those?" "The bank gave it to me." "Well, why would the bank give it to you?" "I opened an account." "Well, okay." There was an ad in the paper that I saw. It said, "If you come into our bank and deposit $25, we'll match it in 90 days. So what did I do? I took my 25, deposited in my savings account, waited 91 days, and went into the bank, closed the account, and took out $50. Now, let me ask you a question. Did
Yeah.
I rip off the bank?
No,
What do you think?
no, you did an
No,
honest thing. Yeah, you
I did it
didn't
on
have
this.
to keep your money there. Right.
Correct. And that was my important part of it. Was that immoral what I did?
No. I
No,
don't think
some
so.
people say, no, but I don't think so either. They did a deal, I did it. So there's a guy in the show notes. The number 4 link is that's a guy on YouTube that says do that. He's made $361 doing that. He's telling you can do it too, folks. They'll match the money, get those certain banks that doing promotions, they'll match the money and then close it, and you get the money. So
Mm,
it's not
yeah.
immoral. We'll come back to that in a second. Okay. So that's what banks do is they sent you, there's no difference between that and sending you a $500 credit card from Capital One. It's a gift card.
Mm,
You didn't buy it. You didn't rent it. You didn't borrow it. They gave it to you. And that's the important thing is they gave it to, why would they give it to you? Because they make money on it. What are you talking about?
yeah.
Is what look it up yourself. I did this about 2 months ago. How much does the average person pay on credit card fees? And it turns out in America, it's $23.04.
Mm,
So if Bank of America has 1 million card holders, they're bringing in $23 million a month.
wow.
And I figured it out. It's about 1/4 of their profit. So remember,
Wow.
you were talking about how the Cardinals are getting all the A's are going to get all this money.
Yeah.
The banks are bringing in millions a month on a
Yeah.
scam, on
Yeah.
a whole defrauding you because you're paying $23.04 on a free checking account that just doesn't happen to get any checks.
Right.
So it should be a customer first with a gift card, and that's how they got you. So let me ask you a question. If I
Yeah.
send you a gift card and you wanted to buy one thing for $500, what would you buy?
Well, today I'd probably buy just, I'd I'd probably turn it into cash and buy as much crypto as I could, or something like that. I would turn it into some kind of
Okay.
investment. I'm saying crypto, but could be a stock or something like that. But I would dump it into the market just because it's found money. That's what I do with found money.
Okay, that's fine. So you go online and
Hmm.
you find the crypto that you want to purchase for $500, right? And you
Hmm.
use that card number, right? And it's paid for it. So you have the crypto, right?
Hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So you own it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's mine. Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's in your name, it's in your
Right.
account, you own that
Yeah.
crypto. Perfect. So are you going to get a statement from that crypto company saying that you have not paid the $500 outstanding unpaid invoice?
No, they're gonna let me have it. It's mine.
No,
Right.
no,
No.
they're right. Now, they're not going to give you $500 of crypto just because they're nice.
Yeah.
Who paid them that night or the next day? And we're using
Yeah.
Bank of America as an example. So
Sure.
who paid that crypto company?
I mean, I'm assuming it's Bank of America in this case, right? That
Right,
they,
right.
yeah.
Bank of America. So we're using that name. Okay.
Could we use
So,
the gift
uh,
card issued by Bank of America? Is that what we're saying? Just to be clear.
right. That's the
Okay.
whole thing. So
And you're
Capital
saying an
One.
actual gift card, like Tommy goes to the store, he gives me a $500 gift card that's backed by Bank of America. Is that what we're saying?
No, what I'm saying,
Okay.
if I go and I buy a $500 gift card and I give it to you, you have a gift card. You can do
Okay.
whatever you want with. There's no
Yes. Right.
obligation. It's not a loan.
Yeah.
There's not. You don't have to pay me back. There's not interest and
Right.
stuff like that. But
Right.
when Bank of America or Capital One or American Express or any of these phony, not the true store cards, the
Right.
store card that had their tires on your car, that you have to pay them. So,
Hmm.
but when you look at Amazon or Walmart, they're issued by a bank. Okay. So the bank sent you a gift card, lying
Right.
to you, saying it was a credit card, which we know they can't issue a credit card because they're not a merchant. So you use the card and the bank paid that crypto company. Now, where did they get the money from? Is from their advertising budget.
Okay.
Okay. They didn't borrow from somebody else. They had it in their account because in 22 or 23 months, you do the math, at $23 a month, they made their $500 back.
Right.
So it takes them a couple of years to make their money back. And now they got you for the next 30, 40, 50 years paying. I've seen 79.9%, the highest I've ever seen of a credit card, bank issued alleged credit card statement, say 79%. So that's how they're getting money from you illegally, is they got you duped into thinking that you had to have a bill. What you got in the mail was a statement from Bank of America, and it looked like it was a bill. That wasn't a bill. They lied to you. When you get your checking account every month, it's a statement. Is that a
Mm.
bill?
I
Your
mean,
normal
I thought
checking
it was a
account?
bill. I pay it like
No,
it's a bill.
think about this. Your
Okay.
normal checking account that you've
Yeah.
had for years, you get a
Mm,
statement. Is that a
yeah.
bill?
No, 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 no. Sorry.
No,
I see what
it's
you're
not a
saying. Yeah.
bill. Not a bill.
Yeah.
Right. Right. It's not a bill. It shows your beginning balance, your deposits, your checks, your
Yeah.
debit
It's a
card, your
copy
other
of their
fees,
ledger.
right. It's
Yeah.
just a ledger. And that's what a statement is all about. That's why the CFO said, don't pay from a statement. You
Yeah.
never pay from a statement. It's just a meant means action statement. They said something. That's not
Okay.
true. It may be true or not, but you don't know that. So it's only a statement. So
Okay.
but you're a good person. You're a moral person. You were lied to and doctored and brainwashed before I came on the show.
Mhm.
Maybe we'll see. So you paid $500 out of your bank, and let's say it's the bank of your own town. Okay. So isn't that the first time Bank America has ever seen your money? Think about it for a second. A card came in the mail, not even apply for it. You're pre-approved. You
Right.
use the card, you get this statement that looks like a bill. You write a
Yeah.
check out to the
Yeah.
bank that issued that card. Isn't that the first time that bank has ever gotten that money from you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Remember, banks are only about loans. So when you have
Right.
no money and you go into a bank, you hope to come out with money, and that's through a loan. When you take money into a bank and leave it there, it's a loan. You don't have to believe me. The very first link on the show notes says right there that
Right.
you loan money to the bank. So think about this. Every purchase you've made since then has been with your own money.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Every month, you're sending money to the bank. It fills up your checking account, and then you write check. You don't write checks. You have a debit card. What debit card? It's disguised as a credit card. It arrives in the mail as a gift card. It says credit card on it. You then take it and you send money to the bank. It then turns into a debit card. That's how you access your money.
Right. That's crazy.
It's it,
It's like it's not a Ponzi scheme, but it's akin to a Ponzi scheme
no,
because there is no, yeah, they've check kited me is what they've done. And I'm paying back their check kite that they flew. Is that right? Is that am I saying this in the
well,
right
no,
way?
not the Ponzi scheme. No, what it is they deceived you into
Hmm.
paying on average $23.04 for a free checking account.
Right. Right.
That's all it is. You're sending
Yeah.
money to the bank to fill up your checking account. So you don't get any checks. Sometimes they
Hmm.
do, but you don't really get a book of checks. And then how you access your money is through what you would call a credit card. And now, if you use the language of the criminal, you'll never win the argument. I
Right.
say it's a gift card in the beginning. And once you send money to the bank, now it's a loan. It then turns into a debit card. And that's how you get it. So, it,
What do you do about that though? Right. So I've got debt that I legitimately spent money on. It's helped me make ends meet. Right. I'm trying to do the right thing, and you're telling me now that I've been duped. What do I do?
you have been duped and you have been using your own money. Don't
Right.
believe me. Have a third party confirm what I'm saying is true. So, this is what you do. If I'm saying you're a crime victim, you got to have evidence, right?
Hmm.
So, where's the evidence? Your credit report.
Yep.
If your credit report says Bank of America credit card, guess what? That's the evidence. The banks cannot issue credit cards. They're not a merchant.
Hmm.
So now you have to be a victim. You got to complain to somebody, right? You call the police up. It's a civil matter. Don't bother us. There are state and federal agencies that oversee the banks. So I have you fill out a complaint form and save a copy. Okay.
Okay.
So now you are a victim, you have the evidence, and you've complained to the authorities. Now what do? You want to close your free checking account, right? But you better take your money out first because they're not going to give it back to you.
Okay.
Think about this. You go into your bank, your local bank, and you close your checking account, and they say,
Yeah.
"Oh, sorry to see you leave us, Pete. Here's the $3.14 that's in your
Right.
account." They always make it zero, right? They can't
Yeah.
close the account until they give you all the money and you walk away. Right. Not with these. They steal your money. So you have to, what other people could call max out the card. It's not maxing out the card. It's withdrawing the money out of your account. So you have to do that first. Okay. When you hear about people, or you might have happened to you, they lowered my credit limit down. So from 500 to 250. No, the bank did not lower your credit limit down. They stole $250 out of your account.
Mm.
Oh, they closed my account. No, they stole all of the money out of your account. And now you're paying them interest, late fees, overdraft fees, and cash advance fees. This is crazy. So you don't need to do that. All you do is just send a letter. Yeah, send a letter to the bank, ask them to close your free checking account associated with that card
Mhm.
and report it as closed by consumer with good standing, because there should be nothing late on that, right?
Yeah.
And they have to, by law, close your account because you're asking to close the account. That's all you're asking them to do, and report it to the credit reporting agencies as closed by consumer. You don't want them to say closed by the bank, because the other people are going to go, why'd the bank close your account? No, closed by consumer in good standing, and they will. You get, oh, no, they won't. Okay, in 45 days, you look at your credit report. If it's still there, then you file the complaint with the credit reporting agencies. And by law, they have to remove the account off your credit report, because you have one, have the evidence. You've complained to the comptroller of the currency, to the Federal Reserve, to the state attorney general's office. You have a paper trail of telling them that this is a fraudulent account. And by law, they have to remove that off your credit report. I don't want to do that because it hurts your credit score.
Yeah.
But if you do that, and then what do? I turn you right around and teach you about what to do and reapply. Yeah, reapply for a credit card to get your score back up. But now you know what you're dealing with. You're dealing with a criminal element, but they got you. So I was about 13 years ago, the wife said, get out and take the dog with you. And so the best thing that ever happened to me, I tell you, I took a vow of poverty for 10 years and I
Yeah.
became homeless on purpose. So I was off grid. So I knew I was coming to the Philippines and I had to buy an airline ticket with a credit card, and I had to
Right.
rent a car with a credit card. They don't take debit cards, right? So
Right.
I applied to Capital One and I had no score and no credit history. And they gave me, that's the important word, they gave me a $500 credit card. Why would they do that? I was a previous customer.
Mm.
Oh, okay. The one who sued them for 35,000 of bank issued alleged credit card debt. So I'm telling you, they're whores. All they want is your money, and they want you as a customer. So I can turn you right around, get your score back up to 800, get a $500,000 of credit cards if you want to. So I can show you how to do that.
Okay, so let me just make sure I'm tracking what you're saying. And I'm going to miss some stuff because there's a lot in there. It does sound like a straightforward path, and obviously, yeah, steps. And by the way, everybody, so there's a priced in gold. Go check that out. We talked about that earlier. And then also, I have the website, which I'll put up here in a second. I guess I took that down, but I'll grab that link and I'll put that down below, so you all can go read and check up on this yourself. Okay, so
Well, let me interrupt you there for a second. Since you
please.
sent priced in gold, they have a whole bunch of charts of all kinds of commodities. You know, the only one that's going up in
Mm,
value to gold is Bitcoin. So you
yeah,
have evidence of Bitcoin, and this whole thing of crypto is more valuable than gold, and that's great. So if you look at wages, straight down. If you look at the stock market, it
yeah.
peaked in 2000. We have been in a 25-year depression, and people don't know it yet. They're going to find out very soon when all this stuff's coming down, the cars and the auto and the real estate. So go back
Yeah.
to what I didn't. Sorry to interrupt you, but I wanted to
No,
something.
no, I'm glad you're feeling this in, because I'm trying to make sense of all this stuff, and you're hitting me with everything. But let me make sure I get your link up here, so everybody, you all will know what to do. And there's the link right there, and go do your own work and check it out. And by the way, look for Tommy on other shows, because he's everywhere talking about this stuff. So, okay, I'm going to, let's say today I'm going to go and I'm going to cash out. Like, I'm gonna put my Amex account to zero. All my credit has been used up, right? It's all in my pocket now. Okay, great. I've done that. And I'll buy a bunch of crypto. That's what I'll do. Okay, and so
There
now
you go.
I'm going to report a crime to the proper authorities, the police, the feds, the state, whoever it is, to say, hey,
Not
this thing
not
happened.
the police, but the federal and state
Hmm,
authorities that oversee
fair enough.
banking.
Okay. Okay, so the folks that handle that and all this stuff's going to be in your website. So I'm going to follow those steps and do that. Then I'm going to go to the bank and say, hey, I want to close this checking account, and I'm going to make sure I check on my credit report to make sure that I say to them, to the credit reporting companies, I close this account, not the bank. And then the bank is going to go, ah, damn it, you got us. And they're just going to walk away from, let's say, $25,000 of American Express debt. They're just going to go, and they're not going to 1099 me or anything else like that.
What happened to me is when I filed the 3 federal lawsuits, things were going great. We had a deposition coming up where the bank would have to bring one of their employees to my office, have to
Yeah,
answer all my questions
yeah,
under oath, under penalty of perjury. They
right.
did not want that to happen. So all of a sudden, I was called into court by the judge. And my father said, that's very unusual. Federal judges don't call you into court and not the
Mm,
defendants. And something's going on. So I went in. He said, Mr. Kilpatrick, do you have a credit card? I said, well, let me start at the beginning. Oh, we'll start at the beginning a little later. Do you have a credit card? I said, well, it's trying to start off as a gift card. A gift card? Pull your card out. Wallet out, pull the card out. Read what it says right there. Credit card. You are an idiot. Get out of here. And he dismissed all 3 cases. So back to a tailspin, $85,000 of debt. I'm going to get
yeah.
sued. Nothing I can do about it. I looked at my credit report 30 days later. All 3 were off my credit report. My score went up. My score went up because those 3 derogatory items I hadn't paid were off my credit report. So what happened? That's what happened. They're taking the risk because what if I appealed the judge's decision? It could have been back on track. They didn't know that, but I had no argument if they weren't on my credit report. And what did it take the bank to do? Click. Because it was never a loan. They had no loss. And in my pleading, I explained all the crimes. So the judge finally took a look at what I was saying and said, oh my God, this can't happen. And in that pleading, I said, if you file a 1099-C, let me explain what that is very quickly.
Yeah.
If you make a loan, if you take a loan from a bank, let's say $100,000, and you don't pay them back, the bank notifies the IRS of a 1099-C,
Right.
which is you gained money. Now, it's not they're being, what do you want to call them? Not nice to you, stuff like that. But what they're doing is setting it up so they can take a tax deduction. All right. That's why they issue a 1099, so they can take a $100,000 loss on their taxes. In there, I said, if you file a 1099-C, I'm going to file a 3949A. So, with a dad being a CPA, I have the IRS as part of my DNA. Okay, so
Yeah.
what's the 3949A? That's a form you fill out to notify the IRS of a fraudulent filing. So I'm telling the bank, if you do that to me and make me pay $45,000 of taxes on a loan that never happened, it was my own money, then you're going to get wrath by the IRS of tax fraud. Now you're filing tax forms that are incorrect. So that's also in the letter you send to the bank.
So
And so,
they can't 1099 you.
no, they
Because if
can't.
they
Because there's
do,
no
then yeah,
loss.
oh my gosh. And all of a sudden you
There's never
become not
loss.
so important. They just write it off.
They don't write it off. They just close your checking
Oh, right.
accounts.
I'm saying the wrong words.
It's
You're right. You're right. Yeah. Yeah.
I have a whole list of words not to say, which is the criminal
Right.
terminology, like credit limit
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
Right.
But then
Right.
there's the true words after that. Yes, it takes a little bit to
Yeah.
wrap your head around this.
No, no,
So
right,
then what
right.
I,
One, and
yeah,
yeah, and as I was saying, there was write it off, and I'm like, no, they can't because it's actually not on their ledger. They're not holding it
no,
as an asset, right? It's just this
it's a
virtual thing.
liability. A
Yeah.
checking account is a liability. It's a loan that they have accepted from you. So what you're saying, kind of repeating what you said, is you want to max out your cards,
Yep.
withdraw the money out of your free checking account, get the
Right.
cash, buy your crypto. Then what you're going to do is you're going to write, and then you're going to get your credit report and then file it with the authorities. So you have that. Then you send a letter. You're not going to go into Bank of America on your credit card and talk to the bank officer. Just
Right.
mail it to the CEO, mail it up to the top, certified, return receipt requested. So you have
Yeah.
evidence that they received it. You go right to the top. And
Yeah.
so you send that letter, and the letter explains that you have now aware that this was just a free checking account and what you did was criminal and there is no outstanding invoice. If you have one, send it to me. I'm not trying to get out of debt. If you have an outstanding unpaid invoice, send it to me. If it's accurate, I'll pay it. And
Right.
show me the certified copy of my promissory note. I don't recall signing a promise to pay you back anything. So if I
Right.
don't have a promise to pay you, what have you got on me? And so then fraud undoes all contracts. But here's the best thing. You include a counter complaint, because
Mm.
if you sue me, I get a free lawsuit against you, and here it all is. So it explains
Mm.
all the criminal, if they issue a 1099-C, what you're going to do. And then there's also requests for production documents, and there's interrogatories, which are questions, and
Right.
admissions, and a deposition date. In addition, there's one more thing, an injunction. You
Right.
haven't filed any of this, but you are showing the bank you are so prepared that if they do anything to you this way, they're going to have $50,000, $60,000 of legal
Right.
expenses just to start.
Right.
So this injunction is very good. Years ago, people didn't know what I was talking about, but today everybody knows what an injunction is.
Yeah.
Trump does one thing, someone runs into the court and stops them with an injunction. So the injunction says to the judge, these people are bothering me, and they need to show you, judge, a certified copy of the promissory note, which they don't have. They have to
Yeah.
show you an outstanding unpaid invoice, which they don't have, and an affidavit of debt. Someone in the bank has to swear out that there is actually a true debt, and they have the evidence. And if they
Yeah.
don't do that in 30 days, they're in contempt of court. So I'm telling you, once they see this brick of paper, it's just closed by consumer, satisfactory,
Yeah.
standing is perfect standing, and move on. So in 45 days, you'll see what I saw, nothing on a credit report. And if they don't, we have it to remove it from the credit reporting agency.
That's so crazy. Yeah. Well, I mean, when you just look at like if you're running, so I didn't run this scam, but it was a very good lever. If I was getting nowhere with whoever I was dealing with customer service, and I started being their employee because I was fixing my problem that they created, I would say, if I don't get this resolved, if you guys don't, it's not my job to call you anymore. I've called you, I've complained. You have your manager call me, and when he doesn't call you, when I pick up the phone, I'm going to bill you. I bill out at $200 an hour, and I'm going to send an invoice, and guaranteed they don't give a fuck, right? And so I sent an invoice one time, and all of a sudden they started paying real attention, right? Like, what is this invoice
Mhm.
doing here? And I didn't want them to pay the invoice. I just wanted them to fix the fucking problem. And it worked. It worked. It worked like a charm. And
Yeah.
I'm like, man, I could do that all the time. I didn't want to spend all my time doing all that stuff, but it's really
Let me tell
funny, and there's a decent chance they just pay that thing, And
you, I have true experience of this.
yeah,
When I got done with my court case there, I'll tell you about, a friend of mine had a dormant charity called Lighthouse of Hope, and she gave it to
uh-huh,
me. I revamped it into credit repair, and a lot of people had a little bit of credit card debt here and there, but they called it that way. So I wrote out a letter and be off the credit report, not a big deal. So what I was doing was I was their agent all the time. I had the debt collectors call me, and
sure,
and they were just so funny. So that's what we can deal with the debt collectors, and it's just very simple. Oh, so when a debt collector calls, all they can do is say fraud, and they have to get off the phone call so quickly.
right,
All you need to do is send them a letter. So if any have any debt collectors, now I got a call from my home about a debt collector, and I'm
right,
going, I don't have any debt. And I would call them back. I say, you called me, and here's the account number. And they said, we didn't call you. I said, listen to the answer machine. It sure does. And I
yeah,
said, we didn't call you. We have no record of you, sir. You're not in our account. You don't have a debt with us. But they
right,
called every day. And I called them back and said, okay, I've had enough of this. I sent the attorney of that debt collector a letter saying,
yeah,
you can use my phone, and it's $500 per use.
yeah,
And the acceptance of this, and if you call me, is agreement, because if you
right,
don't disagree, you agree. That's all laid
yeah,
out. So I sent that certified return receipt requested. So I had the evidence and got to them. And then sure enough, they called, and I had it tape recorded. And
right,
I sent them an invoice for 10. So $5,000 invoice. I sent this debt
right,
collector. All of a sudden, I got a call from the attorney going, what's going on? So I explained it to her, and she says, do you have recordings of this? I said, yes, I do. Put it on a CD. Back then we had the CD, and I sent it off to
sure,
her. She said,
right,
Then later she called me up and said, "Would you accept 3,500?" I said, "Sure."
Yeah.
They sent me a check for $3,500, and we found out that the person they were trying to go after put call forwarding to my phone. It
Right.
wasn't. They weren't calling me. They were calling the debt collector, but to their debtor. But it was calling to me. So yes, you can
Yeah.
do that. You can make money on this.
One of the frames of mind that we have to adopt is that just because they have whoever the they is, if they have a policy, okay, great. So let's say you and I are on the phone, and you're like, well, why don't you go on your portal? I'm like, oh, stop. I don't have a portal. No, no, everybody has a portal. All you have to do is download the app. Oh, stop. Wait, hold on. Have you sent me an authorization for app loading onto my phone? Because on my end, that's not been approved. And they're like, what are you talking about? Like, well, there's a policy and it says that there's no apps, unauthorized apps, and you've not requested authorization for me to get on my phone. So I don't know what we're going to do here, And I'm using a very simple, silly thing, but there is a conundrum. Like you don't have to abide their policy. You can say, I'm not going to abide that. I'm not going to do that, whatever it is, and then you can have your own policy. And as soon as, like when you call and they're like, this call is being recorded for training purposes, and then I'll say to the person, that's good. I'm also recording this phone call. Wah, 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 wah. Wait, you
Yeah,
can't record our phone call. Well, this is for training. And then they get really nervous. And so you'll notice I won't say fraudulent behavior, but you'll notice the unevenness of these things where you empower yourself by saying, hey, no thanks. And look, don't be an asshole, but also don't get suckered. And so when someone's like, oh, this is how this is going to be, you're like, oh, I don't have a request from you guys to do that. And I'm not going to, whatever. Right. And so, yeah, you can fight back by just having your own policy and just saying yes
yeah.
or no. And yes, I will send you an invoice. And if you want to
And
solve this,
I
we
can.
can solve it and just, yeah, fax it in. And then, so I got to say one more thing too. I don't know if you recall this, but back during the big financial calamity in 2008, I think it was Wells Fargo. No, it was Bank of America. They were getting saucy with the family, and I remember the guy's first name was like Warren or something like that. And he said, "Hey, listen, you guys are messing with me, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start filing these lawsuits and fighting on my side." And this is like a fairly minor thing, and the bank ignored it to the point where the sheriff showed up and said, I'm going to put a lock on the door of this branch right here, this guy's home branch, and we're going to sell this thing on the auction block because you guys didn't do what that guy said you had to do in court. And they all of a sudden Bank of America's like, well, we have a problem. And you know what they did? They
Yeah.
settled that shit
Yeah,
because
I remember that.
they didn't want that guy to own their damn branch. But that's what was going to. So they were going to sell that thing. I mean, they let this thing go far enough for the sheriff to get involved. And it's these guys will often drop the ball on these things, and if they can find an easy way out, every second they waste on satisfying Tommy's thing, they know it's dumb. When they see the stack of loss, they're like, ugh, and so they will just settle by just wiping it away off the record. It's an
Well,
ingenious approach to this whole thing.
you just close the account, and they have to because it's your account. You closed it. And there's no money left. They don't have to pay it back to you, so because you've already taken it out. And I can help people at your position, even to the end or the other side. They've already got a judgment against them, and they're making payments to the bank for
Yeah,
their credit card. And I'm trying to tell them you're a victim. I can help you at that point there. I had a
yeah,
podcaster talk to me about 3 weeks ago. He got sued by
yeah.
Citibank for $3,300. He had about 4 days left because it goes to default judgment. And I said, all you got to do is write a letter to the judge asking for more time. And
Mm,
what your reasoning is, one, you want to hire an attorney. You're not going to hire an attorney, but that's what the judges love. Oh, money to
yeah,
the brotherhood. Oh, very good. We like that. And then two, you
yeah.
want to do some legal research, which is okay. Third is I want to file a counter complaint. I need the time to file a counter complaint. When I answer this complaint, I want to file a counter complaint. And that has to go to the attorney for the bank. Now, once they see that, it's going to cost them thousands of dollars to do that.
Right.
And they're going to drop this lawsuit, but it doesn't solve the problem. You still have to send a letter to close the account. What's already closed? That's what they said. You've got to send a letter request to close your account by consumer and have it in a satisfactory condition, in a good condition.
Let me just back up. Because my debt situation is not dire at all, right? So I want to clean it up and do the right things. Will I be able to? Like, I use a credit card partly because I fly a good bit, and it's nice to have the benefits that come with that Amex card. Obviously, it's not the best use of money, but in my case, if I'm on top of things, I keep a zero balance when I'm at my best, right? Sometimes I need a little a thing. So what do I do to manage that card and get the benefits from it, the free points and all those things that build up over time? Or am I being suckered with that too?
Yes, that's what I do is I educate people, first of all, on the whole scam. So once they got the picture, they know who they're dealing with. I had one podcaster tell me he's paying $800 a year annual fee for a free checking account. No. So you get the cards that don't have any annual fee and you never pay a penny of interest. You're going to be one of the 12% of the people who never pay
Mm,
anything. And you have to know that if they lower your credit limit down, you lost the money. There's no way that you can get the money back. If they close your account for any reason, they've stolen all your money. It's the risk you take if you need the credit score. So if
right,
that's important, then what happened to me is I had no score, but once I got the credit card from Capital One, it boosted me to a 525 score. I went to a credit union and got a small little loan, a 2-year installment, which I've been paying every month, and that boosted me to 625 right away.
right,
And then over the 7, 8 months, it's now up over 710, 720 because I use $50. I use 10% every month and pay it off. I know it's my money, but I'm only going to spend $50 of my money. I'm going to put it back in the account, running the risk that Capital One could steal it from me. And that's just, it got me up to 740. So I'm trying to get it back up to 800 so that
right.
then apply for a half a million. I talked to one guy who had $750,000 of bank issued alleged credit card. It's
Right.
gifts. They gifted him 750,000. Why would they do that? To get you to pay $23 on average. Now, of course, when you're in with that kind of,
Yeah.
if you run it up, you pay the interest. So you never pay a penny of interest. You never pay an
Right.
annual fee. So I can help you get right back on schedule and be able to buy more crypto
I
because
love it. Yeah, definitely.
it's not
Exactly.
immoral. You told me it's not immoral. If I went to a bank and they said, "We'll match it,"
Yeah.
so I did what they did. So if the
Yeah.
bank sends you a gift card of 100,000, 500 million, it's a gift.
Thank
They
you.
want you to be as a
Thank you, bank.
customer. Well, I don't want to be
Right.
a customer anymore. Thank you for the gift.
Right. Yeah, no, I see what you're doing. It's it's crazy. There's another thing that's similar to this, and this is like the insidious nature of banks is they look for these ways to pocket and pouch money. All of the gift card industry in general. If you got a player's card at Caesars, you hold a balance on that. And so we all have hundreds of dollars in unused gift cards just sitting in a teacup somewhere.
Oh yeah.
And that money is being used by the bank to make more money. And so all they're trying to do is get that money. So like you're saying, they'll give us this money and then it's a gift, and then they turn that back into an asset for them as you pay all these things back. It's crazy.
And
It's crazy.
even more money making, a podcaster about three back told me, said, well, the merchants are paying 3 to 5% on every
Yeah,
time you use your card.
yeah,
I went, oh my, I didn't even think of that. So the
yeah.
banks are making another. So there's not $1.3 trillion of credit card debt. That's
Right,
not. It's what the banks want you to deposit back up to the top. You don't
right,
have to deposit money in your checking account. It's your money.
right. That's crazy. So, okay, so everybody go check this out. And if people are on the edge of bankruptcy, right? And it's because consumer debt that they've got through these cards from Capital One, et cetera. Are you telling me that there's hope for them to recover from this, or do you think
Right.
bankruptcy becomes
Absolutely.
inevitable? Talk about that for me.
No, that's so the guy that had 750,000 didn't want to do it. He just did a bankruptcy, and that was for him easier way to deal with it. Okay, so
Yeah,
what can I do? But no, you don't want to go that route because even though it's going to be on your credit report for maybe 7 years, and you can, bug the credit reporting agencies enough, they'll take it off. If you
yeah,
just keep bugging them, they might
yeah,
take it off for you. That's happened to me a lot. But if you ever apply for anything and they ask you, have you been bankrupt? You got to say yes. So
yeah,
you don't want to use that for unsecured credit card debt or unsecured student, you can't do it for student loans, but no, you want to save that in case it's a medical. So if you run up $1 million of medical, then you do your bankruptcy. That's how most bankruptcies are. It's for medical. So
Right.
you want to say that. You don't want to tarnish your reputation and your credit report
And
for
so you
that.
go this
But
route instead with
after
the
you
letters and
close,
the
yeah,
and the
well,
criminal.
after you close the bankruptcy, then you get offers from credit card companies. So
Right.
you get credit because they want you to be a customer because they make $23 on average.
Man, that's crazy. That is crazy. So folks should
It's a big
go to your
loss.
website, which is right below here,
Sure.
and start researching and go from there. How much time does all this thing take? Like at one point, I thought I was going to maybe be a professional gambler, not to win $1 million, but just to pay my rent. Turned out it was a lot of work, and I could have just got out and got a regular job and reliably made money for rent, which I had a job. So some of these things are just a lot of work and time and effort. Is this one of those things where I'm going to spend 1,000 hours trying to get this, and I need to wrap my head around 1,000 hours for $85,000?
Oh no, I have it so simple. You just put your name in. It's like inserts it in and out it comes. So it's very simple. I send you to the 5 or 4 websites that are the government things. So you complain to them, save a copy, and then we put the letter together and just your name and account. My best client, my best customer could be this: a company who's facing bankruptcy, who's
Yeah,
got $400,000 or $500,000 of the corporate credit card debt they think they have. So
yeah,
I want the CFO, the CPA, and their attorney, which is most likely their vice president, to hold a meeting of all of the people that work for the company and say, the attorney's going to say, we are victims of fraud. And then the CFO comes in and says, first of all, the bank does not have an outstanding invoice. They never was a loan. So what we are going to do for this company to save us afloat, we're going to send a letter to the bank to close the checking accounts. Our board of directors have all maxed out their cards trying to keep this company going, and their names are here and their account numbers. If you employees want to not get out of debt, but to stop this being a victim, cash out your cards now before we put them on, and then we're going to send this letter. We're going to make one letter to Bank of America. We'll do one to Citibank. We have it all done, and it's going to come from our attorney, with the CPA being the expert witness. And in 45 days, it's off all of our credit reports, and that's how we can save this company. And we'll be back to work, not have to worry about this alleged debt, and we're not going to be a crime victim anymore. And we're going
right.
to get credit cards right back to, we'll help you get your score back up. We know how to do it, so don't worry. And so if they want to do it, they do it. But what's it cost? Most likely nothing, because
Yeah.
I found one podcaster $20,000 he didn't even know he had. So for
Oh my
most
God.
people, I find money, and that's where they can, if they want to share something. Because I'm here in the
Wow.
Philippines trying to teach farmers how to build dome houses and vertical gardening, and I'm trying to open up medical clinics for them. So that's why I
Yeah.
wrote the book, Forgive and Forget: How to Nuke Your Credit Card Debt. It's on Amazon, and you can find me on Facebook, Tommy A. Kilpatrick. So
Yeah.
send me a little message and we'll chat.
I'm gonna put a link for the book up here on Amazon right now while we're talking. Yeah, I keep thinking about the terms max out the credit card, but really it's just accept the full gift, right? I mean, that's really what we're saying. You're gonna take,
Yeah.
hey, you've given me $13,000, you've given me whatever it is. I thank you, I accept. And then you go through the process of doing this, um, and they're willing to give you the money. And like you said, if you open this account, transfer this balance, do whatever it is, great. And then you're like, thank you for that offer. Now I'd like to close the account. that's that's crazy. And by the way, the banks are going to be fine because they know what to do. They're
Yeah.
better at money than we are.
And then you have the detractors who say you're going to collapse the whole economy and stuff like. No, it's 1/4 the bank's profits are from fraud. So it's not going to affect the tire store that sells you tires. It's their tires. You pay
Yeah.
them. And that's the whole thing. It's not a get out of debt scheme. This is to get out of being a victim of a crime.
Gotcha. Okay, I'm going to put the link for the book in here right now, everybody. And look, you all know how to find this stuff. I'll just put the name for the book.
Yeah. Type
And
my name in, Tommy A. Kilpatrick, on Amazon. I'm the only one who's written a book with that name. So, and then if you do a free consultation with me, I'll send you the $69 book for free. So
okay,
just have a
so
chat with
there's
me.
there's
It's
the
free.
link. Just get a
Yep.
consultation for crying out loud. So listen what I'm saying. Don't go crazy. Check all of Tommy's work. Do all of that. But if you're thinking, oh my God, I'm living hand to mouth. My credit card bills are killing me. Well, damn it, take a look at this. This might be the answer for you. And if not, you're in the same situation. So give Tommy a
What's it
shot
going to hurt?
and see if, yeah, what's it going to hurt, right? I mean, it might save you a lot of money. It might bail your ass out and get you a good reset. And sometimes a reset's all you need. So man, I appreciate you coming on. I knew I was excited about this, and God, it's incredible, man. Thank you for coming on and blowing my mind.
You're more than welcome. It is. I
Yeah.
love the
Okay.
skepticism, so I welcome it. I love to talk to your attorney. What scammer was to talk to your attorney? But I need to have you talk to have them have your CPA online too, because
Yeah.
your attorney's not going to believe me. He's going to go into his brainwash thing. It's a debt because he
Right.
sees it every single day. No one ever argues against this. But when the CPA says, "I'll be the expert witness," there is no invoice and there is no loan, and sure enough, fraud and does all contracts. Okay, close your account. That's all I'm
Yeah.
asking.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, oh man, that is great. Yeah, maybe take out a little $500 credit card and then just
Yeah.
realize the entire gift and give Tommy a try on $500 and go low risk. Because when it works, you're gonna be like, holy shit.
Buy crypto.
Oh my God, buy crypto, buy whatever it is, right? Christmas is coming up. Oh, listen, I appreciate you coming on. Let me wrap this up for
Mhm.
you guys. I will see you all soon. I'm posting this while I'm on the road, so I'm not sure what's coming up next, but you know it's going to be good. So make sure you guys watch. And as always, make sure you guys go out and support Tommy's stuff. Normally, when I plug a book, I say, hey, buy two and buddy read. In this case, I'm saying anybody you know, get them this show so they can hear it, because Tommy wants to give you the book with the consultation. So do that. Call Tommy up and figure out how to get your ass. Look, if you've got, I don't know, $40,000 in debt, and you're not sure what you're going to do, and you're losing sleep and you're wrecking your life over it, this is a shot, man. This is good. And look, this is all legal. So there we go. And Tommy, I'll say goodbye to you in a second. Everybody else, I'll see you on a little bit. Thank you.